Hello, my fellow aliens, and I'm here to give you a review of some manhwa. Well, one manhwa to be in particular. It's gonna be Solan. So before this review, I'm just gonna give a few prerequisites that I have to tell you about to get you into the series if you would like to read it. Well, well, to start, Stolen has a lot of additions to the whole like series in a whole. So there's Soland 1, there's Soland 2, Soland 3, and I think there's like a Soland 4 as well. Well, I'm gonna be reviewing Soland 1. And I think the reviews from now on are gonna be Soland 1. So yeah, it's gonna be Soland 1, Chapter 1. Also, this chapter is a little bit heavy on like the world building aspects of the manhwa, so it might be a little overwhelming at times, but that's what I'm here for. Like, what? I'm here to break it down to give you like simple terms to help you out with that. So basically, our main character, Tang San, so he was like, basically, there's like a whole. It's so funny because like to understand it, there's like a whole like lingo to like the manhwa world, where there's like inner disciple, outer disciple. But if you're watching this interview, you probably know like what it is. But anyway, our main character Tang San was born in this sect, and the sect is called Tang sect. So in the sect, you have the outer disciples and the inner disciples. The outer disciples don't really get as many benefits as the inner disciples, such as knowledge to new techniques and all that stuff. Tangsan is a prodigy, so he learned the techniques and stuff of the clan that only the inner disciples usually learn, and that's like taboo. So a lot of the so basically all the sect masters go to hunt him down because it's like a death sentence to learn those techniques. But he actually learned. He's a prodigy, remember? He actually learned, and he's very young. I think he's like around like 19 at the time. Um, he's learning. He's basically learning techniques that sect masters who are like in their like 50s and like 70s like haven't learned yet. So basically, before he departs, he gives them like the ultimate hidden weapon, which is a whole nother thing that I'll get to you later. But basically, both like he's cornered on a cliff, so he just jumps off the cliff and ends, and his life just ends right there. And it's funny because one of the sect masters, before he dies, before Tang San dies, realizes that Tang San was a prodigy and they should have never shunned him for the knowledge that he had. Crazy, right? So while Tang San is about to like fall to his doom, he says like, if I were to be reborn, I wish I could have a happy life. So um so yeah. So he ends and and he's reborn in another world. Now this is where the world building kicks in. He's born as a baby, but he has his memories from his old life. This is a whole nother like world, like a whole nother universe dimension. I don't know what it is, but it's like a whole nother world. And in this world, he's basically like a baby. He has the same name. His name is still Tang San. Um, but he's like a baby, and he just grows up. It's kind of like the farmland, like the outskirts of that's where he's more like a little village, and it's just really cool. So basically, he grows up, time skips, little time skips. He grows up, he's like 6 or 7, I think, and he's like trying to learn the techniques that he had from his old world. And there's like a bunch of techniques like there's like the eternal vision. I think it like these techniques are very important. So you have to, because they will be built upon later on. So there's the eternal vision, which is basically at this point just enhances. his just to put it in simple words, eternal vision enhances your eye perception. Eternal movements. The first one is shadow step. So it's a bunch of deranged movements that basically allow him to increase his speed. And mystic hand, which at this point is just like quick and strong hand movements. So he's cultivating these techniques, trying to get them, but for some reason they're a little slow. They're a little slower than his techniques from, like, the process of cultivating the techniques is slower, and he hypothesizes that it's probably because he's from a different world, so it's like slower to get these techniques. But anyway, he goes home with grandpa. Grandpa. It's not his like actual grandpa, but he's like the grandpa of the village. Oh my god, how did I forget? Okay, world building. World building. This is very important. I don't even know why I'm getting into it at this point. I should have got to it before. World building. So, um, in this new world that he's was born in, it's called Combat Continent. So, in this new world, the power system is different from his old world. In the new world, everyone has a thing called a spirit, like a spirit weapon. They're divided into two kinds. There's the beast and the tool. The spirit weapon is basically like a stand from JoJo. If you know what I'm talking to JoJo, it's kind of like a stand, but like it's either a beast or it's a tool, basically like a garden hose, a bowl, or like a wolf, or and it gets crazy, but just like that for the basics. So there's like a ceremony in the village to determine what tool spear you have. So Tengsan and Grandma go to the house, and Tengsan's father, Tengwu, is like the village blacksmith, but he's also like a drunk and a deadbeat. So Grandpa's like really hard on him because his son's like very hardworking and he does the right things and he's very earnest. So during that time, Tang-san wants to learn how to make hidden weapons, which are things from his past. So he asked his father to learn how to blacksmith. But remember, Tang-san is like very young at this time. So his father says, "You don't have the right body right now. Like you haven't got through puberty, boy. Like, you know." So he doesn't have muscle or anything. He's like a little kid, basically. So he's like, "I'll teach you when you get older." So Tang-san's like, "Okay." So he goes to the weapon ceremony, and there, so he goes to like the weapon ceremony, and there's like a bunch of kids. Oh, there's like someone from the capital. The capital is like the city, like that's the ish. Like the city is like the ish. That's where all the wealthy people are. That's where all the spirit masters are. Spirit masters are people who have cultivated their spirit weapon or tool or beast spirit to like a higher proximity to use it in combat. So like he comes there, he's already like a beast. He's level 26. So he comes there to initiate the tools to initiate a bunch of kids like around Tang-san's age to see what spirit they have, and all of them pretty much have shit spirits. There's like a bowl. Like your spirit can literally be pretty much anything, literally, like it just comes down to honestly luck. Um, but like one of the guys' spirit, he has a blanket spirit. But basically, the when you get your spirit, there's two things. There's your spirit, and then there's your spirit essence level. Your spirit essence level is very important because it determines on where your training is gonna start off. So you have low spirit essence, you're kind of far. You're gonna have to work harder than the person who's high spirit essence because they started on a whole other plane than you. But basically, it gets to Tang-san, and his spirit essence is a trash spirit. They call them trash spirits because they have no offensive capabilities, no defensive capabilities, and no support capabilities. And his spirit essence is the river grass. Basically, it's just like a blade of grass. Like a basically, it's a blade of grass that's in the world that's pretty much everywhere, but it's it's useless basically. But when you use his spirit, when you use his spirit essence is what they call, he has essence harmonization, which means the highest level you can get when you awaken your spirit, that's what his spirit essence is. So in terms of spirit essence, he's a prodigy. Like, he has a lot of it for just finding out what spirit he has. But he has a trash spirit. And at the very end of the chapter, we find out that potentially he could have two spirits. I don't know. It's pretty fucking badass because I don't think any other person has more spirits than one. Because you can only have one spirit. So he potentially has two. I want to see where this is going. And yeah, man. I'm so happy if you came to this point in the video and actually listened to me talk. I know I sound like a... I probably sound so boring, but I swear it will get better. Like, this YouTube stuff is, like, really hard. You know, starting out. So I kind of just rambled, but it will get better. I promise. Like, there will be editing. This will get better. But, like and subscribe if you like what I did. You know, YouTube, like and subscribe. Like, that's like a thing now, I guess. You have to say that. But if you honestly want to support me, click that like button and the subscribe. Adios, my aliens. Oh, wrong one.